to thwart any conversational topic is to say, you know, you can't buy a car that runs for less than $500. And since he is like shamelessly a penny pincher, I never had any reason to doubt it. If he couldn't do it, no one could. But then at 23, I was presented with the opportunity to show him that that is not true. Because my friend had dragged me to a farm auction to hear a real live auctioneer, and they got to the second to last item, and I don't know if it was because of the color. It was very bright yellow, this truck was. It was too yellow for rural folk, or if they had spent all their money on the real farm equipment. But by the time they got to this yellow, kind of antique-looking pickup truck, there was just one guy kind of half-heartedly, okay, $100. And I thought, this is my chance. I bought that, and I hadn't come to buy a truck, but I bought that truck for $165. Way under 500. I was so pleased. The farmer assured me that it ran fine, but he did say that she didn't like to go over 40 miles per hour. What I thought was, you mean you don't like to go over 40 miles per hour, the old farm geezer. I felt for this truck instantly. I knew she'd been trapped in this land of just lugging farm stuff back and forth. She wanted to let loose, and so when I hit that highway, I did, and we let it all out, and she was loving it. I could tell it was like if a car could let her hair down, she was letting it down. And I called her Yolanda, and I rolled down those windows, and we sang Van Morrison. Okay, I sang Van Morrison song. And we, at one point when we were just flying, I mean, probably at 75, 80, and she was kind of shaking with joy, I'm sure. And we passed sort of a blur, but I did catch not only the side of, because it was this huge trailer and a big red pin that said Franz and Brothers Circus. It's a big trailer. And then beneath that, in this really beautifully, handwritten sign, it said "Help Wanted" on the top line, and then "Immediately," which was such a long word to have on a "Help Wanted" sign. It just seemed odd, equally desperate and pleasing to me. So after I flew past them, I started thinking, just reminiscing about the childhood dream of running away to the circus, to join the circus, and which kind of performer I'd be and how great that would be. So I don't really notice like the fizzing that's coming out of the top of the engine and the hissing sounds that Yolanda's making. There was like a death rattle as well. And she came to a horrible stop. It sounded like a small explosion, and we just pulled over on the side of the road. We did make it to the side of the road, and I swear, I know cars can't talk. I'm not crazy, but it was like that gurgle, like if somebody had blood in their mouth, but they were trying to say, "Go on without me." I swear. And I didn't know what she meant until I saw it coming up over the circus cop, the Franz and Brothers circus cop. So I desperately thought, I said, "I got you, don't worry, Yolanda, you've done your part. This was all for a reason. I understood now." And I waved them down, and they stopped. And the guy got out, and he said, "Do you need help?" And I said, "No, I'm going to help you immediately." The guy said, "Well, now? You want to come with us now?" "Yep, immediately." That's what I mean by immediately. He said, "Well, what about your car?" "Oh, she was really old, and we were new together, so we hadn't really bonded. It's fine. She's fine." So he lets me up in the top of this trailer, and I'm sitting there. He said, "You better talk to my brother. He's the one who runs it, Wayne." And it was a little alarming to me that if this was a decent-sized circus, that the owner of the circus would actually be driving this trailer. But nonetheless, I had this on-the-spot interview. And he said, "Well, what circus experience do you have?" And I said, "Well, I've always seen myself as kind of an aerialist, maybe somebody who could dance on top of an elephant because I have a lot of great balance." And he said, "Do you have any experience with gymnastics then? Are you a gymnast? Can you do a flip?" "I can do a straddle roll, and maybe a flip in the water." So I said, "Well, how about animal training? Have you ever trained wild animals?" "I had a rather large dog who would sit for me sometimes." "No." I said, hey. I'm thinking, there's no requirements. How about a clown, huh? I look great in the red nose. Guy says, "Do you have a clown certificate?" I left school early without a degree. I was so irked that even clowning needed a degree. I had to hang my head in shame. No, I haven't been to clown school, I'm sorry. He said, well, you know what? You are uniquely qualified for something. I'll tell you what that is. Cleanup. Yeah. It wasn't the 24 horses. I know that seems like that would be the worst part, the 24 horses. It was the one elephant. I'm just like, there's just one, and they're supposed to be so wise and these kind, gentle animals. But that, people, is a result of an excellent PR agent. I know snakes get a bad rap. Snakes are actually very gentle. No, this elephant was sneaky. And part of it, I found out that when she was just 4 years old, she'd been taken from the wild of Asia and sold to this circus. I also found out that the owner literally picked her up in a pickup truck at the airport, just put her in the back of the pickup truck and drove her to the big top. That's how he got her. That's how he started. He quit his regular job and started a circus when he got an elephant. And this elephant, I figure 4 years was like just enough to really remember how wonderful the wild was and bitterly resent being taken away from it. And she was an angry, angry elephant. And she could steer her, gas exactly where she wanted to. She had excellent control. And she didn't like me, and unfortunately, her actual trainer was sort of courting this gymnast named an aerialist named Zarina, and he was always off after her, and so he would give me much more than I should have had to do. Like, the elephant's name was Oka, which a lot of people would say okay ha, which is not the way you're supposed to pronounce it at all. It's Oka, it's an Asian thing. And I thought that surely she would appreciate that, but she didn't. It didn't matter how well I pronounced her name. She did not like me. Then he'd say things like, take her for a photo opportunity. And then I'd get yelled at because I didn't put her trunk up. Well, I didn't know that. That's a superstition of circus people. It's bad luck if you don't have the trunk up. So anyway, it was about, I think I lasted 2 or 3 days of cleaning up after Oka and dealing with Serena, who was always in a snit, and the trainer and everything. It was just very demanding. I know they seem like very friendly people, but you're really an outsider, especially if you're a cleanup girl. There's a status thing. Also, you cannot negotiate a very big job if you are like just getting a ride in the truck with them. You have a very low status. So just keep that in mind if you ever decide to get into a circus trailer and apply for a position. By the time I made it back to Maryland, I had to pay over $400 in towing fines, and the truck was held, and then, of course, I had to buy a brand new engine. So it turns out that, yes, my father is right. You cannot get a car that runs for under $500.